street lights, gated entrance with security post, and a breath-catching experience of our beautiful sea view and lake view. You can.
Do you think you are the only one who knows where all the good news come from? My son bought me this ram all the way from abroad with Baluwo.
Oh yes, this must be Baluwo. Me too, my daughter just bought one for me through Baluwo. With Baluwo, everything is possible.
This Tabaski, you can buy RAM for your family using the trusted Baluwo. Just log on to the www.baluwo.com website or download the app. You can buy RAM, otherwise foodstuffs such as rice, sugar, cooking oil, and much more for your family this Tabaski. Baluwo, better than sending money.
No, ini bara. Welcome. Basically, lot of lala me along is cool, man. That I can really relax.
What the madam?
Yeah, that's
what the madam?
Yeah.
Let them do somebody.
That's fine.
Grand Villa.
Grand Villa.
That's fine.
Slowly. Yes. No.
Yeah, actually, a lot of people are basically me alone very relaxed. So it's basically that I can understand. Very relaxed.
Nina Fanny say what? Nidia, Nena Grand Villa is the best guest house in the Gambia.
Beji andikam Grand Villa Guest House. Na labungul bebe senyaring adum na bungul bebe nyarandiring coming ibela fila ila suwe taranyame. Until Grand Villa na kiliano la lafino wale mukangwati intel kang. Na ye sabati Grand Villa yela kodo na fa kalamuta.
Oh man, this is like a paradise.
I know.
I so much love this place.
Yes, thank you.
Trust me, I love this place.
You can move someone and you're watching what?
Yeah.
Kapin Jang and you want to Gambia. Grand Villa.
I tell you. I love this place. Okay.
Yes.
I love this place, man. Oh yeah.
Ni leftan na kuo keso sotola. Futama Oljuntum Paradise Estate. Mbaya kumandiroke 7527-218. Wale futan na website auto www.grandvillaguesthouse.com. Grand Villa Guest House.
Dreaming of owning a property in a prime location with great proximity and fantastic neighborhood? EJ Investments Sanyang Seaview Estate is the best choice you have been waiting for. Our Sanyang Seaview Estate is approximately 15 minutes drive away from the busy hub of Brusubi roundabout and into the heart of nature, where you can have a peaceful and relaxed lifestyle with your family. You can buy a finished 4-bedroom story with 5-year flexible payment plan or a service plot with 2-year payment plan option. With over 300 homes, you will enjoy big tar roads with covered drainage, modern electrification with solar street lights, gated entrance with security post, and a breath-catching experience of our beautiful sea view and lake view. You can own a home today at our Sanyang Seaview Estate. Call us today on 446-4838 or 325-9220. Visit our website on ejinvestments.net. EJ Investments.
Coming as usual. I convened this press conference to issue a statement and take a few questions about the hot topic of the moment, the release of the 3 junglers. I understand that my recommendations for the army to release Mr. Malik Jatta, Mr. Omar Jallo, and Mr. Amadou Baji, 3 members of the junglers patrol team who testified at the TRRC, has evoked strong emotions among some victims and concerned members of the public. This reaction is quite understandable, especially given the revelations the 3 men have made at the TRRC about some of their activities under former President Jammeh. Let me clarify from the onset that the recommendation to release the 3 men is not an amnesty, as some claim. This is totally false. It is only the TRRC that can recommend amnesty in appropriate cases. At this point, the objective of the release is to put the three men in a similar situation as those who have appeared at the TRRC and admitted to participating in human rights violations and abuses. As you well know, none of them is currently in custody, and rightly so. The TRRC is not a court of law, and one of its primary objectives is to establish the truth in exchange for amnesty and the promotion of healing and national reconciliation. While we all agree that the junglers are a special category of alleged perpetrators, the reason they have been the only ones in custody all this time, we cannot also afford to treat similarly situated persons differently. We cannot treat one group of confessed perpetrators any different from another group. All those who assist the TRRC to establish the truth shall and should be treated the same way. Neither can we charge anyone, including the three men, with any crimes at this moment, because the TRRC has been mandated to identify for prosecution only those who bear the greatest responsibility for the human rights violations and abuses. There are other people out there who may bear the greatest responsibility for these human rights violations and abuses, and the decision about who to prosecute will depend on the recommendations of the TRRC based on the totality of all the facts and evidence adduced before it. We cannot therefore preempt the work of the TRRC by taking action against anyone at this stage. So let us suspend judgment and give truth a chance, because without the whole truth, we will not achieve our immediate and long-term objectives of forgiveness, reconciliation, and accountability. The decision to recommend the release of the three men who have been in custody for over 2 years and a half now has not been an easy one for me, especially considering the victims and their mourning families. But I cannot shy away from making decisions because they may be unpopular. I have a responsibility that compels me to consider all relevant factors in making decisions. On this occasion, I have come to the conclusion that it is in the best interest of our country and the victims to release the three men after their testimonies at the TRRC. Let us just pause for a moment and think about this. Without the revelations by these three men, we probably would never have established the facts about which they testified on a first-hand account basis. We would have continued to rely on second-hand or even third-hand accounts. These three men have so far provided us with the most chilling details about several incidents under former President Jammeh. They were encouraged to assist this country, particularly the victims' families, find answers that have eluded all of us for many years, and they voluntarily did so. There are others still in detention who are refusing to assist us establish the truth, and it will be unwise to treat those who have assisted us the same way. The cooperation of these three men has been very critical to the TRRC process, and this should be recognized. What we must not do is to scare people away from telling the truth, because that will not be in anyone's interest. There are still many truths out there that need to be told, and they need to be told for several reasons, including to enable the victims find closure and to negate revisionism by laying bare all the facts for the world to see, especially those in this country who continue to mock at the victims through their constant denial of the occurrence of these atrocities in our country under former President Jammeh. To quote the chairman of the TRRC in his statement earlier today, and I quote, "Only the truth can help us move forward as a nation," unquote. That is why it is important to encourage truth-telling in this process by recognizing the efforts of those who do so. Anything else will send the wrong signal to other perpetrators that they are doomed either way, whether or not they tell the truth. This perception will inevitably lead to a loss of trust in the process, and with it, the incentive to tell the truth. Sometimes, this will entail making very difficult decisions. But if I believe strongly that my decision will assist in achieving our truth-telling objective, I will not hesitate to make that decision. It comes with the burden of responsibility that I carry as the person leading our national efforts to find the truth about our past in order to prevent a recurrence in the future. I therefore continue to count on the understanding of the public and especially the victims. We need your continued trust and partnership in this process if we are to learn from the mistakes of others and make a success of our Truth Commission. And so far, we have been able to successfully navigate through our own challenges by making the right strategic decisions at the right times. To the victims and their families, in particular, I know that this may be extremely difficult for you as I am asking you to swallow a bitter pill. But I assure you, like I have done on many previous occasions, that the decision to release these three men is also in your long-term interest. I have consistently acted in your best interest, and there is no reason to doubt my continued commitment to your cause. We have come a long way together, and we must continue to push on. Let us make every effort to establish the truth about all the victims and not just some. Every victim family deserves to know the truth about their loved ones. My goal is to establish the truth about every death, every torture, and every disappearance. And all my efforts, including the release of the three men, are geared towards achieving that objective. Forgiveness and reconciliation in exchange for the truth lies at the heart of Truth Commission processes everywhere around the world, and ours cannot be an exception. We have set in motion a credible fact-finding process in the TRRC, so let us be guided by its recommendations. This is perhaps one of the most difficult decisions I have had to make, but there is more at stake here. The three men have now been in custody without trial for over 2.5 years. It is also my responsibility to remedy that situation. We must always remember that in our quest for justice, we must also not perpetrate or perpetuate injustice, even if that is the popular thing to do. We must endeavor to respect the rights of all persons, no matter how repulsive we feel about their conduct. We must not do to others acts which we have ourselves condemned in the past. Otherwise, I will be abdicating my responsibility as Minister of Justice for all Gambians and not just some. Keeping the three men in custody, like we have done over the past 2.5 years, would have been the easiest option for me. But that too has serious implications for our new Gambia, not least because they have been detained for this period without trial. Finally, allow me to take this opportunity to advise those who continue to make public utterances that hurt and cause more pain to the victims and their families. It is an irresponsible attitude and betrays a lack of sensitivity to the plight and suffering of the victims. Moreover, it has the potential to undermine our efforts at national reconciliation. I thank you all for your attention. I'll take a few questions now from Pap. I start with you.
Yes. Honorable Minister Pap Sen, Reuters and The Point. First of all, I would like to ask you a pertinent question concerning the release of the 3 junglers. Are you arranging a tight security for them after releasing them? Because when they will be released, it will be hunger. And do you foresee any security for them, for their life? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Pap. It is a legitimate concern, certainly, in view of emotions in the country. But this is what I have to say. The Gambia is a country of laws. We have established a process, a fact-finding process, and we have to await the recommendations of that process. It will be unwise for anyone to attempt to take the law in their own hands. And if they do, they will bear the consequences of those actions. This cannot be a lawless country. We cannot live in a chaotic society. We are living in a free and democratic society, but that should not be equated with lawlessness. And so that is all I will say. Again, I will urge everyone to exercise restraint. I understand the emotions and the feelings that are running high, but without the cooperation of these 3, again, as I said, we would not have been in a position to establish the facts that they have shared with us. They are assisting us. And so I want everyone to bear that in mind and to exercise restraint. Okay, this side.
Yeah. Abdullah John, Associated Press Reporter, Freedom Newspaper and Cairo News. Well, Honorable Minister, I just want to know whether you, prior to their confessions, did your minister enter into a plea deal with these 3 people? And last question is with regard to Musa Sedikan of Cairo News. He made mention of your ministry dragging his feet to comply with ECOWAS court judgment.
To your first question, unfortunately, I can't release the details between my ministry and the process which led to the cooperation of these 3 men. The fact is we have encouraged them to assist this country. They have done so voluntarily, and we are satisfied with their level of cooperation. They have provided answers to a lot of questions that we all have wondered about over the years. In terms of the complaint or allegation that we are dragging our feet, well, I wonder why we will reach out and execute the judgment of the ECOWAS court in respect of all the other media personnel for whom judgment was entered, and not Mr. Sedikan. It does not make sense. There is no personal issue here. I think Mr. Sedikan knows very well what the problem is. We have reached out to him, I believe, on many occasions, particularly through the former Honorable Minister of Information, D.A. Jao. We reached out to him through the Gambia Press Union to come and to basically to discuss and agree on the way forward in terms of the sum, of the judgment sum. He has been reluctant to do so. He has refused to engage with us in any discussions. And again, like I said, we don't have any reason why we will deal with one set of journalists and not him. Our doors are still open. We have reached out to him. We can do so again so long as he is open to discussing with us. He is the one who didn't want to discuss with us. He knows best that reason. So I think he should be fair and be honest and explain to the Gambian people what is the problem. And the problem is he has refused to engage with us in discussions. As I said, the bottom line is, why should we deal with one set of journalists and not another? We have no agendas at all. This side. Yes, Keba?
Yeah, Keba Jeff, I'm the Chronicle. We understand that some junglers are still at large, the Senamandiam, the Bora Police, and the others. You know, is there any effort made by the government to engage these people to come? And then it goes, the same question will go to the president, the former president, whether the government actually made any effort to at least extradite them.
I have said at all times in response to the question about the former president that right now our preoccupation is to establish the truth, the facts about what has happened in this country. That is the point at which we are, and that is the focus of our attention and energy. In terms of the junglers who are outside the country, all I can say to you is that it is important we encourage truth-telling by adopting a variety of approaches and strategies. I don't know. They may come, they may not come. I cannot give that undertaking. But all I know is that if we encourage them to come, they are likely to take the chance and come. Because what we are ultimately interested in at this point is to establish the truth about all the atrocities that have occurred in this country. And the junglers are a special group that have access to information because they either directly participated or knew someone who participated in these crimes. And so, again, I would continue to encourage truth-telling because there are others out there who are watching what we are doing, how we are treating other people who have come forward and testified. And that will, to a large extent, influence their decision to come to this country and share with us the truth. I would actually take this opportunity to call upon them to tell the junglers who are outside this country to come and assist our country to establish the truth. We want to reconcile our people. We want to encourage forgiveness. But we can't do all of that if we do not find out the truth about what has happened. And every victim family deserves to know the truth. So I ask them to consider their position and to come forward and assist us in that truth-telling exercise. This side.
Good afternoon. My name is Sankula Janki from West Africa Democracy Radio. It is important, of course, like you said, to encourage reconciliation, but stakeholders must be involved. My question is, do you involve the victims' families before you make the decision? Because I read a story where Data's daughter was interviewed by CPJ, and she really applauded the fact that you want to encourage reconciliation, but she's concerned, for instance, having these people back in the public again. Wouldn't they be a danger to the general public?
It is a legitimate concern, but just to address your first point, we can't reach out to each individual victim family and discuss with them. It's practically impossible. But what we have done is we have engaged the victim center. The leadership was here on Friday to meet with me. I took the opportunity to explain the rationale, as I have done with you here today and with the Gambian public through this press conference. I have explained my rationale with them. I understand their feelings, their concerns. Again, as I said, I believe they understand my position and my rationale. And I think we had a cordial meeting, as I always do, with the Victim Center. In terms of, I'm sorry, what was your second point again?
About having those people relieved.
Yes, about getting them back into society. Well, unfortunately, these days it's difficult to keep confidential information. Our letter to the army was leaked on social media, and I'm sure you have seen the fact that they are going to be released on certain conditions. One of them is to provide them with counseling by the psychosocial support unit of the TRRC to assist their gradual reintegration into society for the time being. I think one of the objectives of this Truth Commission as well is to provide rehabilitation to both victims and perpetrators. And we have already engaged with the TRRC. I have myself spoken with the Executive Secretary to facilitate that counseling. So that will be something that will be in place for them as they readjust gradually in our communities. Flex.
My first question, sir, is with regards to, I understand you're waiting for the TRRC to present their recommendations, but then you still will have to execute those recommendations. Will this not compromise your ability to carry out your duty if, in case, these people you left free in the jungles were supposed to be outside the jurisdiction of the Gambia? One. My second question, sir, is regards to people who are confessing to gross human rights violation, yet still they are serving within this government as it is. There have been recommendations from civil society that such people should be suspended pending the result of an investigation. Can you tell us, are people who have confessed to gross human rights violations still serving in the security service because of there is apparently a huge loss of confidence in the security services? We are seeing it play out on the streets. Thank you.
Thank you, Flex. In response to your first questions about the possibility of these junglers leaving the jurisdiction and the possible effects that may have on my future ability to carry out my work, well, that's a legitimate question. But I think let us first of all accept that the three gentlemen who have appeared and admitted to their participation in human rights violations are not the only ones who have done so. There are others who have previously also admitted, and they are still around in this country. That's the first point. The second point is these junglers, these three gentlemen, had an opportunity to leave this country like their colleagues who left. After the change, they did not. They stayed on, and they have given us the reasons during their testimony why they decided to stay on in this country. Third and finally, I think there is a growing trust in our administration of justice system in this country. The fact that two former generals who escorted former President Jammeh to Equatorial Guinea voluntarily returned to this country. They were arrested, they were treated humanely as they should, they were prosecuted, they were acquitted, and they are free. I think there is growing trust in our justice system. And I think the fact that these three men came out and admitted to their participation is also another indication that they believe that our justice system will treat them fairly in the way that it must. So based on all those factors, I am confident that they will not leave the jurisdiction. I am confident about that. In terms of the serving members of the security services, serving members of the security who have been implicated in human rights violations, that's a very complicated question. It's never straightforward. There are many issues to consider. There are issues of due process. If someone is adversely mentioned, they need to be given an opportunity to appear and also give their side of the story. Ultimately, it will be the TRRC that will determine where the truth lies. In terms of those who we believe have admitted to their, or those who have admitted to their participation and are still serving, well, the thing is this: if you want to encourage truth-telling, it's difficult, because when you take action right now, what message are you sending to others about their appearance and testimony at the TRRC? I mean, should this be you come voluntarily, you admit to a crime, and immediately there are consequences for you? Who else is going to come? I mean, at this point, our process is focused on establishing the truth. It will be for the TRRC to recommend what actions to take in respect of individuals. But the spirit of the TRRC, as with all truth commissions, is truth in exchange for healing and national reconciliation. And perhaps that is what we should focus more on rather than the retributive aspect of transitional justice. Yeah? Otherwise, it will be a vicious cycle here. The line has to be drawn somewhere. And that's why the TRRC has the mandate to identify for prosecution only those who bear the greatest responsibility. And I think that's an acceptable international standard everywhere with tribunals. So that's the approach we are taking. It's a complex situation. We should be worried about it, but we have to balance several things and make a decision on what is the best interest of this country at this point in time. Bye.
Amadou Barry, E-Media, Senegal, Star TV. I have two questions. The first one is about the two gentlemen who were killed recently. One, Keva Seka, a student, and the other one, the Usman Dabo, is vendor. How far are you with investigations? And the second one, you said the junglers, they are in custody for 2 years now and a half. What about the NIA members who are also in custody? Any any idea, any prosecution may be different. And talking about these two killings, maybe the security sector reforms, how far are you with the prosecution? Thank you.
Well, with respect to the killings of Keba Seka and Usman Dabo, again, allow me to take this opportunity to express my condolences to their families for their unfortunate deaths. It's regrettable. It could have been avoided, certainly in my view, but it has happened. I believe the police are in a better position to provide you with more information about the stage of investigations. I am not responsible for investigations in this country. I am responsible for determining whether there is a legal basis to take action following investigations. Until the file comes to my desk, I will not be able to say much about it, and we have not yet received the file here. In terms of the NIA officials, I'm not sure what you mean, but the NIA case is still ongoing. They are on trial. The prosecution, I believe, has closed its case a few weeks ago, and so there is no issue with that. The issue with the junglers, particularly these three who have cooperated with us, is that they are held without trial, and that is where the problem arises, and it's a problem that we have to deal with head on. It's a new Gambia, as I said. We don't want to subject people to the same kind of acts that we have, all of us, condemned in the past. So it's a difficult situation. I understand the public feelings, the feelings of the victims, etc. But it's one that, after carefully looking at all the circumstances, I have made a conscious decision that this is in the best interest of this country at this point in time. I keep emphasizing at this point in time because this is the truth-telling point in time.
Okay, so
this side, let me just take a question this side. Thanks.
Thank you very much. My name is Standard Newspaper. Of course, we have to understand that a letter, you have written a letter instructing the army
Requesting
for the army.
Or rather recommending, yes.
The three junglers who have already confessed to killings and other human rights violations. But we understand there are other junglers who are yet to testify and in custody. And one is, of course, currently at the commission. Will the same fate be extended to the rest?
Well, you see, it depends on the level of cooperation we have. The three whose recommendation for release I sent have assisted all of us in this country to establish the truth about several incidents. Now, and that's the point. If there are others who are refusing to cooperate, to assist us, and they all remain in detention, then what is the incentive for some to come and tell the truth while they are in a similar situation as those who are refusing to tell the truth? Why should they tell the truth if that is the case? How are we encouraging them? What is the difference in treatment between those who are helping us and those who are not helping us? And that's why we have taken the decision that if they assist us, if they cooperate and voluntarily assist us establish the truth, we should recognize that assistance. That's the point. Maybe I'll take two more questions and then I'll finish. I'll take from the middle.
Are these three junglers, are they free today?
Not yet. They are not yet.
When?
Well, that depends on a few logistical things that we need to put in place, but not yet. Dabo?
Thank you very much, sir. Mustafa Dabo, Kefa. My question would be twofold. The first one is with regards to the release of the junglers. Have there been any agreement with them, so to speak, so that they, in case you need them in any future trial, they could appear and testify against people who may have called the shots? Because we understand some of the people who were arrested, like Oya and others, were at the operational level. There were people who were at any point ordering them to do X, Y, and Z. Was there any agreement with them? That's one. Two, also, you were talking about the engagement with the families. Emotions can sometimes motivate people to what you may categorize it as privatization of justice, taking the law into your own hands. In situations of that nature, if it were avoidable, do you not think it's much more prudent for the Justice Ministry in this scenario to explain to the victims directly, such as people whose fathers were killed. We now learn Aisa's father in a horrible way imaginable was killed, and there is no way of explaining that to anyone who lost his father in that way. Do you not think it was going to be more prudent that you sit down such people and tell them that this is the options you have, the reason why you have to release these people, and convince them instead of engaging the victim center, who is a representative of such victims?
To answer your first question, at this point, I think I have responded to this earlier on. I think the methods of encouragement we have used to enable the 3 men to assist the commission are really not, I can't disclose those at this point. Whatever the case is, they have been encouraged and they have voluntarily assisted to establish the truth. That's the best I can give you under these circumstances. In terms of engagement with the families, I think there's nothing wrong with sitting and discussing this with the victims' families. But as I said, it's the practicality of that poses a challenge. And that is why the Victim Center is here to provide us a conduit of disseminating information to the victims, to the wider victims' families. And that's the point of having this center through which we can communicate, and they will act as the interface between the ministry and the victims. Ideally, I wish I was able to sit with all the victims' families and explain this to them, but that's an impracticability. And so the best other option is to channel my communication to the victims through the Victim Center, and which is what I did on Friday. So again, this press conference was called by me, again, as part of reaching out to the wider victim families and also the general public to further explain the rationale behind this action. I know it has aroused a lot of interest, and I have been called all sorts of names, but it comes with the territory. I have no personal agendas here. My overriding agenda is the national interest. I have taken action consistently in support of the victims, and if I take this, it means there are both immediate and long-term matters, factors to consider. And so it may not be evident now to everyone, but hopefully with time it will be. That's all I can say for the moment. Okay, you have anyone here who hasn't had a chance, who wants to ask a question? Sedikan Ubuaka, you're hiding there. You're okay? All right, I'll take the last two from Jifang and Barry, and then I'll close this conference.
Yeah, so, Honorable, recently we've seen that case was worked out, which is Weekend Boys Yankuba Toure. And then you are among the leading prosecutors in that case. We've seen that it was worked out. What went wrong on your part? And then is there any plan to prosecute him again? And then, by extension, would we see Yankuba Toure to face the TRRC once again? Is there any discussion and engagement as to, regarding this him being brought to the TRRC?
Well, yes, it is true that the contempt proceedings against Yankuba Toure was struck out by the High Court, because the High Court was of the opinion that the referral process adopted by the TRRC was not in conformity with the law. We hold a different view. In fact, the Attorney General was not a party to that referral. I've had to submit a motion to be joined as a party. We believe at this point, we disagree with the High Court's ruling in that regard, and there are plans to appeal that decision. Having said that, let me also explain that the process of referral under the TRRC Act is a novel process in Gambian law. And so there is some hesitation and uneasiness and unfamiliarity with that process. So naturally, there will be skepticism about it, but that's how law evolves. You go to court, the courts interpret a law, especially when it's new, then you appeal until you get to the apex of the court system. So we are in the process of lawmaking right now, and there's no doubt that we do not intend to let Yankuba off. Certainly, there is a murder charge before the High Court against him. We intend to increase those counts, those charges, and make sure that he is brought to account in our courts for his participation in the terrible crimes that have occurred here, in view of his refusal to assist and cooperate with the TRRC, and especially in view of his utter, again, as I said, disrespect and contempt of the Gambian people by his attitude. Whether he will have a second chance to appear before the TRRC, that's not up to me. The TRRC is an independent, autonomous body. They make their decisions. If they believe that he can continue to assist them and he's willing and ready, why not? But it's up to them, it's not up to me. I can't comment on that. Barry, final question?
Yeah, just to know that as other junglers are due to appear before the TRRC, and would we expect any release from them if they accept, if they cooperate, and if not, some will maybe say that you have opened the Pandora box, that this is selective justice as we had it before.
And it is exactly to avoid the allegation that we are treating similarly situated people differently. It's to avoid that allegation that I have made the decision to recommend for the release of these junglers, because as I said, they are not the first to admit to participating. There are others who have appeared and admitted, and they are not in detention. And so if they also come and admit, then it's only fair in their treatment that they are put in a similar situation as those who, like them, have also appeared and testified. Now, I will not rule out, again, the possibility of releasing those. I believe there are 6 junglers in total in custody. 3 have already appeared. We have 3 more to go, and if they find themselves in a similar position as the 3 whose release I have recommended, I will not hesitate to recommend a similar move for them. But if they do not cooperate and they do not assist us, then I'm afraid my options will be limited. I think, like, I have final question.
As newly awarded Press Freedom Champion of the GPU, when will you?
I want to start trouble.
When will you finally champion the Freedom of Information Bill?
So you mean I'm not championing that bill?
Maybe you can explain if you are.
You know, right now, this ministry is in crisis. It's on the verge of collapsing. I am serious. It's on the verge of collapsing. I have 17 lawyers, only 17 lawyers, to help me with our work and provide legal services to government, to appear in court, to go to meetings. 17. I have had to bring this to the attention of His Excellency the President because of the criticality of the situation. I have lost a lot of staff to all these commissions. They have moved on to advance their careers quite naturally. That's what we all aspire to do in our lives. And I just can't compete with the conditions of service that other institutions are offering. And so my staff are leaving me, unfortunately, at a time when I most need them. But I do not blame them. I think I would have done the same if I were in their shoes. And what I need is the support to this ministry to be able to retain those who are left here and to attract, perhaps attract them back here to this ministry. If those conditions of service are improved, I think it will go a long way to helping me. If they are not, well, as I said, this is a warning shot to all of you, and it will significantly impact the speed of our reform agenda in the justice sector. I am pretty much down on my knees in terms of personnel and manpower. That's the reality on the ground. So it will take me some time, but I believe Uncle Pap Sen will not let me rest in terms of moving forward with that Freedom of Information Bill. But we have every intention and commitment to do so. All right? Thank you all very much. Thank you.
Look, guys. You guys got very big rams. I hope you don't get it from where I'm suspecting.
Do you think you're the only one who knows where all the good news come from? My son bought me this ram all the way from abroad with Baluwo.
Oh yes, this must be Baluwo. Me too, my daughter just bought one for me through Baluwo With Baluwo, everything is possible.
This Tabaski, you can buy ram for your family using the trusted Baluwo. Just log on to the www.baluwo.com website or download the app. You can buy ram, otherwise foodstuffs such as rice, sugar, cooking oil, and much more for your family this Tabaski. Baluwo, better than sending money.
Dreaming of owning a property in a prime location with great proximity and fantastic neighborhood? EJ Investments Sanyang Seaview Estate is the best choice you have been waiting for. Our Sanyang Seaview Estate is approximately 15 minutes drive away from the busy hub of Brusubi roundabout and into the heart of nature, where you can have a peaceful and relaxed lifestyle with your family. You can buy a finished 4-bedroom story with 5-year flexible payment plan or a service plot with 2-year payment plan option. With over 300 homes, you will enjoy big tar roads with covered drainage, modern electrification with solar street lights, gated entrance with security post, and a breath-catching experience of our beautiful sea view and lake view. You can own a home today at our Sanyang Seaview Estate. Call us today on 446-4838 or 325-9220. Visit our website on ejinvestments.net. EJ Investments, first in property.